What's your public restroom or locker room horror story? I was peeing in a urinal when a face popped under the dividing wall. It scared the crap out of me and reflexively kicked it. It was a child. Life lessons. I was taking a dump in a one-person bathroom outside a gas station, and as I was pulling my pants up, a mom and her daughter walked in. They had to see my penis. They screamed and closed the door. I washed my hands and nervously walked out, and they were completely gone. They just left the scene. I mean, aside from the awkwardness and initial shock, they had no reason to leave. It's not like you flashed them. They just barged into that toilet head on. I ran a venue that sometimes held raves back in the late 90s. My girlfriend came to one with her best friend. I let them in free. At some point in the night, somebody came up and told me people were having sex in the men's room. My assistant manager and I went in. He thought he was hilarious and kicked open the stall and yelled, "You cannot have sex in here." There was my girlfriend's best friend trying to give a BJ to a guy who couldn't get it up because of the drugs or whatever. She was clearly all fricked up and was kneeling in an inch of crappy water because the toilet had backed up and overflowed. Yet done with this thread. I was at a track meet last week and just ate a huge lunch after a race, so I needed to take a massive crap. I waddle into a stall and plop myself down on the toilet seat. I then proceed to push out the most gut-wrenching crap of my life. As I finish wiping and get up, I realize that a line had built up outside the stalls. I flush the toilet and it doesn't go down. The water level doesn't go down either. I then proceed to go on a walk of shame out of the stall as around 10 other dudes see my crap slowly rise out of the toilet bowl and overflow into the ground, seeping its way to the low corner of the bathroom. Next time, establish dominance by staring directly into the eyes of every man waiting in line. I did this. I am the danger, and they will respect you more. I walked into a locker room to see a naked fellow standing in the shower area, no water running, covered head to toe in soap suds so thick that it may have been shaving cream. The only thing not covered was his eyes. That is surprisingly creepy. I was coming back from a road trip and we were driving for 3 hours non-stop. At this point I really needed to pee, but we couldn't find a place to stop at. After another hour I was very desperate and felt like my bladder was going to explode, haha, so luckily we found a gas station with a bathroom. I was running to the bathroom, the only one there, when I see two little girls giggling and running away from there. Long story short, there was poop all over the walls, floor, sink, everywhere. I mean, I couldn't hold it anymore, so I just closed my eyes, did my best squat, went to my car and tried to pretend that never happened. At the gym, they have community towels for wiping sweat off the machines. Just grab a towel and do your thing. At the end of your workout, throw it in the towel bin. I sweat. I mean, wet t-shirt contest looking type sweat. So not only do I wipe the machines thoroughly when done, I also have to keep wiping the sweat from my brow. When I had finished my workout, I went to the locker room to change. Setting my towel, my phone, and my earbuds on the bench, I open my locker, take out my bag, and begin to change. There were other guys in there in close proximity, so I just kept my eyes forward and went about my business. Sweating. Still sweating. After putting in my clean shirt, I grabbed my sweat towel off the bench and wiped my face. Then I started putting my gym stuff into my bag. I looked at the bench and saw my phone and earbuds. They were still sitting on my sweat towel, the towel I had used during my workout. Slowly I looked down at my hand, at the other towel I just wiped my face with. It wasn't mine. It was so wet. Wow, this is the freaking worst, dude. So sorry you had to go through this. I would have immediately showered while dry heaving. I've seen and smelled some of the big old guys that come in with jeans and a sweater and stink the place up. Can't even imagine how bad it must have stank. About 10 years ago, me and some friends were driving back from the lake. I had to poop bad, so I asked the driver to pull over at the next exit. All I had on was flip-flops and swimming trunks. My one buddy, being in butthole, ran past me to take the stall, and I was left to wait for him in this old style restroom. Next, this old man busted through the door, pants around ankles, shuffling his feet, holding his dong. He was projectile crapping streams of diarrhea all over behind him. He shuffled past me, pushing on the stall door, which my buddy had locked. I was pressed up against the wall, scared to death of the horror I was witnessing. The old man looked around, spotted one of those long urinals that go all the way to the floor, and made a spin for it. He turned his body to head to the urinal and spray painted an enormous load of diarrhea across my legs and feet. I screamed out in terror like I had just been fatality wounded. The old man bent over the urinal, pumping loads against the back of the urinal as it splattered everywhere. He just looked at me with these dead eyes and said, "God dang diarrhea. I will never forget that day, for however long I live. Good God almighty." Not exactly a horror story, but kind of relevant. Maybe a horror story for the mom. Tough. This one time when I was a kid and was playing at the playground, I saw a kid marking a circle in the sand. He then stood in the middle of it, pulled down his pants and squatted down. That's when his mom rushed in and pulled him away. Apparently he wanted to take a crap and somehow figured this was a good spot. The cat does it, no one blinks an eye. When I do it, everyone loses their minds. I once had a parent-teacher conference in the nude. I was teacher. I was a member in a gym. Finally decided I could just change and not duck into one of those tiny rooms. Standing in my underwear when I hear Mrs. Mel 2MDLO, "You teach my son." Yep, I sure do. My principal allowed me to count it towards my conference hours, so there is that. Whoa, sounds like that parent had no boundaries. I get embarrassed just running into parents when I am out and about in workout clothes. I can't even imagine going through this situation. The story is long, but I'm very embarrassed until this day. I'm on the way home from my friend's house and things started to get worse. I need to crap so bad that I immediately went to the nearest public restroom. Upon arriving, only one cubicle is available because the other two are out of service. I also find it strange that there are no urinals inside this bathroom. But anyways, after doing my business, I just realized that the flush is not working and there's just an empty pail beside me. I was about to get water on the drum at the corner of the bathroom when 3-4 girls went inside the bathroom. I'm still inside the cubicle and I know that they're going to use the toilet. Since only one cubicle is available, they're just waiting for me to finish. When I got out, they started screaming and asking what I'm doing inside the girls' bathroom. One of them saw my pile of crap and told her friends about it. Then, they look at me with disgust and left the bathroom immediately. I'm a guy BTW. Well, if it helps, they probably knew why you were there by the size of your pile of crap. I have another one. I had gone out to eat with my wife at an Indian restaurant and then we met up with co-workers at a bar afterwards. The colonic bullet train that often follows Indian food hit me. I did not want to crap in the bar bathroom, so I ran down to the gas station on the corner. I know, still gross, but in my experience, anything is better than a bar bathroom, but the gas station bathroom was closed. I had no time left and ran back to the bar and into the bathroom. I now realize that 1. The bathroom door does not lock, and 2. The oddest arrangement for a restroom I have ever seen is before me. As soon as you open the door there is the toilet with no stall followed by the sink, then 2 urinals. I am mortified, but at this point, this is happening. As I sit there blowing out Indian food, a steady stream of patrons wander in and out. Every time the door opens, I can see the entire bar. When they wash their hands, we are intimately close and it is near impossible not to make eye contact as I struggle to end this nightmare of face contorting colon cramps. Eventually, my buddy Brian swings the door open, sees me and does an about face while cackling hysterically. I don't know if you have ever had to wipe your butt while in close contact with strangers, but let me tell you, it is humiliating. I finally think I am done with this nightmare and wander out to my table of co-workers who are all laughing hysterically and clapping. One of my bosses nods to the DJ that announces, "The shameless shitter has now concluded his evil reign over the men's room," and spins up "Doin' the Butt" by EU. This is the single greatest crap themed story I've ever heard. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I can't stop laughing. Did a crap at the cricket and there was no toilet paper. It was before the start of the first women's game of the season, so unsurprisingly I was alone in the toilet. I had no tissues, and I had to wait until the next person came in. After sitting there for about a minute, contemplating whether or not I could use my old cardigan and dump it, a 12-year girl came in who passed me under a very decent amount of toilet paper. I said thank you to the girl but also sung her praises to her mum waiting outside. I was so relieved. Not all heroes wear capes, but they do bring toilet paper. Junkie shadow boxing in the mirror after he tried to flush his pants down the toilet. I feel sorry for the poor schmuck that had to clean that up. Spoiler alert, it was me. I had to clean it up. This is my near miss horror story. Had some hot wings, the kind you need to sign a waiver for, with my cousin just before a dinner with my girlfriend and various members of my family at my brother's father-in-law's house in the rich part of Vancouver. We both managed to finish the wings, but my cousin couldn't hold them down and 10 minutes later, everything was back up. I was victorious. Fast forward a couple of hours. I can't eat at dinner and my stomach is feeling awful. I go to the very fancy bathroom and throw up. Nuclear hot sauce is not the nicest going in, but coming back out at body temperature and mixed with stomach acid makes it particularly vile and creates a feedback loop that makes me want to throw up more. Eventually, it finishes. I clean up and head back out to the rest of the family. After another hour or so, my uncle, girlfriend and I go for a walk. About 10 minutes in, I instantly, and I quite literally mean instantly, have to go to the toilet. My guts decided to do a backflip and I had to stop on the spot to close my sphincter. My girlfriend and uncle found this weird and I had to explain the situation. I sent my girlfriend on a scouting mission to find the nearest toilet. Fortunately, half a block away, there is a bar, so in between waves of oncoming shoots, I shuffle towards the bar. I get to the toilet, and there is one cubicle, currently occupied. I am desperate. I know that soon I won't be able to hold it in. I have a great idea. I'll go to the women's. They'll leave the men's and opposite is the women's. It's locked. Turns out to be my girlfriend in there. I go back to the men's. I wait 10 seconds. It's coming. There is no way I am going to be able to hold it much longer. I look at the urinal. It's my only option, otherwise I'm crapping myself. I reach to unbuckle my belt and then, by some kind of miracle from the gods, I hear a flush. I get a rush of adrenaline that gives me the power to close my butt in time to rush past the man exiting the cubicle. He says something to me, but at this point I couldn't care less and just apologize. I sit down and release. It was glorious. Purely magical. I can't tell you how happy I was not to crap myself. There was loads of splashback, but I could deal with that. It was over in seconds. I look at the toilet roll holder and to my dismay, there was nothing. Turns out, the guy told me that there was no toilet paper. However, it seems like the gods weren't quite done with me yet. I hear the door open to the toilet and can see shoes coming towards the cubicle. It was the guy who had just finished with a roll of toilet paper in his hand. He passed it under the door and told me he thought I needed it. The Canadians are so dang friendly. I'd watch this movie. When I was in middle school, our female gym teacher was relatively masculine and was rumored to be a lesbian. She was also not a very nice person, though probably because she had no choice but to be tough. Anyway, being a middle school and mid-2000s, LGBT issues and people were still considered extremely taboo. A cruel rumor started that she had a camera in the locker room to record all of the girls changing. I thought it was super mean and chose not to perpetuate it. I didn't believe it until I saw it after basketball practice one night. There was a tiny webcam on top of one of the far lockers, pointed out across the whole locker room. It had a blinking red light. My blood ran cold. At this point, I should have checked it out or gone to another teacher, but I was 12 and instead decided to ramp up the rumor more and tell all my friends what I had seen. The next time I was in the locker room, the webcam was gone. The gym teacher also confronted me about spreading hurtful rumors and asked where I heard it from, etc. She effectively managed to shut it down before it reached school administration, and nothing ever came of it. It's always bothered me because if she was guilty, I tipped her off by spreading gossip, and if she was innocent, I was a huge jerk that perpetuated a homophobic rumor. At this point, I don't know which narrative is accurate. The whole thing just makes me feel bad. Actually, here's one. In line at a festival to go to the Portaloo, and there is someone holding up the toilet for a good 15 minutes. Everyone in the line started getting annoyed and ranty until one chick ran up and ripped the door open. There were 2 girls wearing overalls, pulled down round their middle, with boobs hanging out, and started to yell at everyone while rubbing at their noses. They yelled something about taking a crap, changing tampons and having a chunder, but me thinks it may have had more to do with the coke up their butts and noses. Oh god, here we go. So I am 100% straight, dabbled the other way just to make sure, and I'm deefy straight. Anyways, so I went on a night out with some girls from uni. We drank a lot, and halfway through the night and we went outside for a smoke. When outside they ditched me for a couple of guys and went to make out with them. I decided to just stay where I was because they usually came to find me after an intense makeout session with other people. Also, I was pretty drunk and wearing heels. This girl came and sat down next to me and spilled all the contents of her clutch purse onto the floor. I helped her pick everything up and handed it back to her. She then started getting really upset and crying because she's lost her friends. I asked where she saw them last and she said she didn't know. I said we could wait out here for them to come because they're probably looking for her. After a while she starts squirming and says she needs to go to the toilet but can't get out of her playsuit without help from others. I'm starting to sober up at this point, so said I'd go with her. We stumble into the bathroom and I unzip her playsuit for her and then close the cubicle door and wait by the sink. The next thing I know, she's grabbed me and pushed me inside the cubicle and locked the door. She stood in front of it and started grabbing me. I was like, TF man, sorry but I'm straight, let me leave please. She moved out the way and then grabbed me from behind trying to kiss me and stuff. I started shaking. I was absolutely terrified of this girl now. I managed to shove her off me and then crash onto the floor of the bathroom in front. Funnily enough, her friends ran in at that exact moment and said, oh god, I'm so sorry about her. I hope she didn't do anything to you. Told friends about it. They laughed. Now have different friends. Also, now I never go to the bathroom without some backup girls. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry this happened and I'm so sorry her friends were so nonchalant. WTFOMG, I hope she didn't do anything, which means she's done that a few times before. First night staying at my girlfriend's house and I get bad diarrhea. After spending 20 minutes filling the bowl with liquid chocolate, I go to flush, and to my horror the toilet blocks. For some reason, the bathroom had no plunger, toilet brush, or anything I could use to remedy the situation. After panicking for a few minutes, I noticed the smell was getting bad in the bathroom, and to save embarrassment in front of my girlfriend's family who I just met, I had to clear the toilet ASAP. I made a split-second decision to shove my arm down the toilet and clear the pipe by hand. I didn't quite register what I had done until I was scraping my toilet paper and crap from out of the pipes. God must have smiled upon me because the next flush worked perfectly. Although the toilet was clear, my conscience was not. That is when you cut your arm off and cauterize the wound. I had to go to a meeting across the state. It was a long drive. I'd had a lot of coffee, so I went into the restroom about 30 minutes into the meeting when I thought no one would be in there to have what we in the caffeine addiction biz like to call an butt disaster. So I go into a stall and just start going ham. Just anus blasting. You all know what it's about. After the London Blitz was over, I am fumbling around for toilet paper, in a half squat, looking less human and more ape than normal. Just dicking the TP dispenser. BC, all the paper was jammed inside it at a weird angle. I get it out and start doing damage control on my butthole when this lady just freaking busts into my stall. The lock was kinda screwy but absolutely engaged, and I had a purse on the floor as a backup signal to passers-by, but this doll just freaking slams into my stall. She saw my whole situation. I didn't even feel like a person. I felt like a toilet paper monster. There was crap on my butt cheeks and this lady stumbles in like a gazelle, happening upon two lions having gross disgusting lion sex. But does she leave like a sensible person? Does she say oops my bad for ripping that lock apart and ignoring the several other unoccupied and obviously open stalls and going directly for the closed looking one? The crap noises emanating from it like goddamn bombs over London. No. She looks me dead in the eye and goes, why didn't you lock the door, and just waits for an explanation. Like, lady no. Go away. Now I am the gazelle and she's the freaking lion. I just take the hand not covered in crappy TP and start slamming at the door until she gets the hint. I also clogged that toilet, but plunged it so no hard feelings. The worst part, I'm technically her boss. Dang. People like that get on my nerves. Don't stand there and ask why isn't the door locked when you could have obviously gone to another open stall. Like Jesus Christ, come on. Don't try to blame it on the other person who's occupied currently. Number. Just apologize and move on. Ugh. Rant over. In the stall where I work there are 5 stalls. 1 is handicap accessible and 2 leak in the back so that when you sit down you just have this constant drip on your lower back. The other 2 were in use, so, knowing that no handicap people work there, I use the handicap one. Of course this is the day that a really higher up supervisor in a wheelchair that normally works in the office about 4 miles away has a meeting and needs to use the restroom after said meeting. I had only seen this guy once a couple years earlier when I started at this job. I leave, head sunken apologetically, and he just gives me this knowing look, not mean or upset, just knowing. Still keeps me up some nights. Okay, keep in mind, it's a handicapped accessible toilet, not reserved for the handicapped. They can wait for the toilet like everyone else. I was like 6'9" and I had the nastiest crap ever. The toilet wouldn't flush, so I kinda just waddled away hoping nobody used it. It was the only toilet in the whole place. Me and my friends who were waiting for me were playing with sticks and I hear this guy who walked in yell "Holy Mother of God" and walk out eyes watery. That cracked me up. Thanks, stranger. I don't know if the school restrooms technically count as public restrooms, but nevertheless, the year was 2001. I was in year 2 at school and my younger brother had just started kindergarten. Whenever the bell would chime to signify the end of recess, there would always be a bathroom rush while everyone relieved themselves before heading to class. One particular recess, I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with a bunch of other kids, taking a leak into the urinal. Without warning, I feel a solid shove between my shoulder blades and, try as I might to delay the inevitable, I topple into the little gutter area of the trough. Many of the kids tried to Avery their streams, but it was too late. I was soaked from falling in AMD, then some from above, and as I looked back up, shielding my eyes from the burning rain, who should I see but my younger looking down at me. I may have been covered in urine, but I assure you he was the one with the crap-eating grin. For whatever reason, he had just thought it would be funny to shove me into the urinal. The joke was on him though, because the teachers quickly decided that I'd had enough for one day and called our mum to go pick me up. My brother didn't understand why I got to go home early and he didn't. I can still picture the look on his face as I waved at him through the window as the car drove away and the teachers were scolding him. Your own flesh shoved you into a urinal. Not horror, but weird. In military basic training there are no doors on stalls. Pretty shocking for 100 new guys who lived at home the day before. We all have to go at the same time and stand in line waiting for next guy to get off the pot. Well, turns out about 2 out of 100 guys on my team wipe from back to front. They actually stand up after taking a dump, and then wipe their butt from back to front by reaching between their legs. Those two caught heck in the form of laughter and ridicule from the 98% that wiped normally. They changed their ways, but now I know. Some of you guys out there are wiping from back to front. It's 2% of you from my experience. You're doing it wrong. In case no one ever told you. I converted to the good side after being enlightened by Reddit about 6 years ago. Anytime I go into a public restroom and someone's feet are facing toward the toilet bowl, I haul butt because I have a phobia of puke. I'm a woman, so that's an easy way to tell for me. It wouldn't work in a men's restroom. I am terrified of 2 things, catfish and vomiting. That's it. I entered a Target bathroom to see a fairly skinny black man standing butt naked bird bathing in the sink. His clothes were strewn around on the floor. He looked at me, said sorry, and backed into the stall. I wasn't disturbed by this enough to back out now, and I went to use the bathroom. In the stall was a pair of crap-filled underwear. I'm not talking smear. I'm talking full-on soft pile of crap in his panties. Smelled horrible. I went and told the Target associates. I told them there's some crap-filled clothes in the bathroom. The teenager replied back, not again, Target bathrooms are always a gamble. There's this bathroom at the drive-in. Whoever designed this thing either didn't think it through or knew exactly what they were doing. It's a wall of urinals and the sink and mirror is lined up perfectly. Went to wash my hands, looked up to a row of dongs. The Cheesecake Factory my girlfriend and I visit once or twice a month has a bathroom exactly like this. You seriously have to try not to see dongs when standing at the sink, and even if you do, they're still in your peripheral. Not to mention peeing there when someone is washing their hands. Went out to eat at a place about 20 minutes from our house. On the way home, things started to not feel good. I am going to crap my pants, and I am still 10 minutes from my house. There is some new home construction, and I see a porta potty at one of the home sites, so I fly around the corner, screech to a halt, and jump in. That's when my freaking zipper in my pants sticks, and I crap so much bad calamari diarrhea that it literally is flowing out the bottom of my pants. I text my wife, whom is in the car, that I didn't make it. The wife drives the 20 minutes round trip to our house to get me some clothes while I stand in a 100-degree crap house surrounded by my own poo. That's a keeper. I'm sure you're expecting fesses, dirty insane people, but this is a bit different. I was in a stall in an old bar on the border of Canada and the US. I heard a big bang on the door. The friend I was with has no boundaries, so I looked under the door to prevent her from crawling under it. Nothing. Nobody. I finish my business and go to leave the stall. It's unlocked. I was drunk, so maybe I forgot, but I haven't ever before. Now, the door opened in. So with the door unlocked, whatever banged, did it from the inside. I go out to the table and say I just had the most freaked up bathroom experience. Almost in unison they all said the ghost. Hoo frick that crap. Reading that gave me goosebumps, and it wasn't even me, and that's so creepy. A cool story, THX for sharing. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.